Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely beautiful Neapolitan style pizza on our Ooni Pizza Oven. Let's get started. Now the first step in this pizza process is to make what's called a Poolish, and that is essentially just your yeast starter for our pizza dough. Now as far as amounts of Poolish you're going to need, today I'm only making about 2 pizzas, but this amount should probably be good for maybe 4. If you're going to go to like 6 pizzas, you might want to double the amount of Poolish. If you're going to like 10, you might want to triple it. It's not exactly linear just because a lot of the yeast starter will work for larger amounts of dough, but there is a point where you want to double it. But I can get into that later. What really matters is the ratios, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So if you're doing like 2 to 4 to maybe 5 pizzas, this should be enough Poolish for you. Now, just like a lot of recipes, guys, this one is going to require a scale. That's because we want to make sure we have just the right amount of water to flour. And if you do more than that, it's going to be too sticky or it's not going to have what's called the right hydration. Again, we'll talk about that later. But for this one, we're going to start out with our scale in grams. And we're going to do 100 grams in flour. I like to use this Caputo Blue. This is the pizza stuff. I think this is the best flour we can get, at least easily. You can find it online. I think Amazon sells it. I've used the King Arthur's Flour Pizza, the 00 stuff. That works pretty well too. Basically, you want to use a 00 flour. You could absolutely use all-purpose flour, but this stuff and the King Arthur's Flour 00 pizza stuff, or flours like it, are actually made for pizza, so the results are going to be better than just using all-purpose flour or using whole wheat flour or anything like that. Now, I'm obviously not a flour expert. You can probably find a million videos explaining why that is, but just trust me on this one. Try and find the right flour. Now, I like to add a little bit of extra sugar other than just the flour, just to give my yeast something to eat. So I always add some honey in, and we're going to do about 2.5 grams of that. Now, as far as yeast, I just use the active stuff that I can find in my grocery store. This works fine. I'm also going to do about 2.5 grams of that. And then the fourth and last ingredient is just water. And we want to add 100 grams of water. So basically the ratio is 50-50 flour to water. Done. Then I get it nice and mixed together. Should be pretty thick. And then I just leave it out like this. Now, as far as when to make the Poolish, you don't want to go longer than 24 hours because it will start to get kind of a sour taste to it, which isn't great. So for context, right now it is 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I do it the day before, but I'm just making it early in the morning and I'm going to make my dough probably around 3 o'clock. So that gives it plenty of time to do its thing. But I'm going to leave it uncovered like this, get as much flavors and stuff from the surrounding air, let the yeast do its thing, and basically we'll come back when it's time to turn this into our dough balls. All right, our Poolish has had plenty of time to do its fermenting. You can see that it's risen a lot. It's nice and fluffy looking. That's great. This is the point where we're actually going to make our dough. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is the part where mass starts to come into play, and unfortunately that kind of is the case. So the goal here is about hydration. That means the amount of water you have relative to the amount of flour. If you have too much hydration, it's going to be overly sticky, and if you don't have enough hydration, it's not going to be elastic enough. So there's a balance in there. And that balance point is somewhere around 65%. 60 to 70 is kind of the range. So I'm targeting about 62, 63%, and that is the total amount of flour and the total amount of water. Now our Poolish is 100 and 100, which means we need to take that into account when we do our math. So for these 2 pizzas, my target amount of flour is going to be 350 grams. So right now we're going to add in 250 grams, and then when we add the Poolish in, that brings the total amount of flour up to 350. Then we need to figure out how much water we need to add to get 60% of 350. Using a calculator, that's about 217 grams, which means we have 100 here, so I need 117 grams of water when we're doing our flour. It's not overly complicated, but you do need to think about it. There are calculators on the internet that you can use. And so when I mentioned earlier that you don't want to double your amount of Poolish just to make more because a little bit of this goes a long way, you kind of need to take into account, let's say you want to do double the amount of pizzas, you want to do 4 pizzas, keeping the same amount of Poolish, you're going to need to add more flour and water. That's not exactly a linear relationship with what we're doing right here. Either way, I'm not going to get into math here, but basically, remember, you want about 62% of your total amount of flour to be in your water. Now on to the fun stuff. First, let's put in our 250 grams of flour. Some people I've noticed mix it up. They use a little bit of all-purpose flour and then the rest of their pizza flour. I'm just doing all the same pizza flour. This is that Caputo Blue. There's all of our flour. Now I'm going to add the Poolish in. And right before I add the water in, I'm going to add in my salt, which I'm doing 10 grams. This is our 217 grams of water. That's it. Now we just want to mix it all together. Once it's kneaded together in the bowl like so, and there's no real big clumps of flour, now I'm going to start to abuse it, which means I'm going to smack it on the counter. I'm going to kind of rip it apart like so, and then keep doing this over and over to really, really mix it all together, break apart everything that's in there, and just really just work the dough. All right, now I've got into a rough ball shape. I'm just going to give it a little light coating of olive oil, and I'm just going to leave it for like 20 minutes and let everything just kind of relax and come back together a bit. This ball has had some time to relax, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently turn it into a dough ball. I do that by just doing this over and over, trying not to break the skin on the top. Just want it to be nice and smooth, like so. Put it on the counter, give it a little spinny like so. And I'd say that has a pretty beautiful looking little dough ball. I'm just going to give it a little more olive oil, cover the top. And then we're going to take a damp towel. This is warm water, damp, and I'm just going to cover it. And we're going to let this sit for an hour, then we will come back and cut it into the appropriately sized dough balls for the pizza that we're doing. But right now, let it do its thing. Just sit. An hour later, and this is ready. So basically all I want to do is cut this in half. If you had a much larger ball of dough, because you're doubling or tripling or whatever, you're going to have to weigh it out. A lot of people like about 250 grams. Oh, look, I have a black lab, so there's a lab here. A lot of people like 250 grams per ball. These are probably about 275, a little bit bigger, which is fine. But you want to cut it up. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of do the same thing we did before. Get into a nice, smooth little ball like that, trying not to break the top. And then I'll just give it a little spin on the ground like that. Perfect. And that's a good ball that will be used for pizza tonight. Do the same thing with the other one. Give it a nice little spin. Then all I'm going to do is take 2 Tupperware containers. Put just a little bit of olive oil on the bottom so that the balls don't stick. Drop them in. You know, you could use all kinds of different stuff. I like the separate container thing because that just means that nothing's going to touch them. If you put them next to each other in a bigger Tupperware container or something, and they expand out, which they're probably going to do, and touch each other, then they might connect and you won't have these perfect balls. So I'm just going to do that. You can toss the lid on if not. You don't have to. Either way, these are good for a couple hours just at room temperature. If you're planning on cooking much later and you're doing this in the morning, you can put these in the fridge. They'll last for, I don't know, 12 hours, something like that. But if you do plan to take them out of the fridge, just make sure they warm up to room temperature before you try and stretch them out into pizza dough, obviously. I'm just going to leave these on the counter like this for about 3 hours until we're ready to actually make our pizzas. While our dough is resting, it's time to make some tomato sauce. I like to use this Cento peeled tomatoes. These are the ones that I like. It doesn't have a lot of salt in there. I've tried other brands. They're too salty. I like to get the less salted one, high quality product, and then kind of make the way I want it to by adding in my own salt and herbs or whatever. But basically, what you're going to get is just a whole bunch of tomatoes like that. And you could use like an immersion blender or anything similar. But for me, I'm just going to go with my hands. Obviously, make sure you wash your hands. But we're just going to rip these things apart. So I'm just squeezing everything, making them kind of pulverized. I don't recommend wearing a white shirt when you do this because it tends to kind of squirt everywhere and make a big mess. But for this style of pizza, guys, we do want it a little bit chunky. We don't want to have just like a pureed tomato sauce. That's kind of the style, is to have some of those big chunks of tomato. But you don't want it to be, you know, anything giant. So we're trying to rip into smaller pieces, you know, what you'd expect from this style of pizza. And that looks pretty good to me. Now, the biggest problem with these big cans, unfortunately, is that they are giant. This is a lot of tomato sauce. We're probably going to use like 3 tablespoons for this. So you can definitely save it. I've put it into my fridge covered. You can freeze it, but if you're planning on making more pizzas later on in the week, or if you're doing a whole bunch of pizzas, this is fine. But these giant cans, like what is this, 28 ounces? I wish they had smaller ones because it's really not good for just 2 pizzas. It's way more than you need. But it is the best one that I've found at least. Now that we have our tomatoes together, I like to toss in some fresh basil. Just kind of break up a little bit of pieces of the leaf, toss it in, and then we're gonna get some salt in there. This is definitely a personal preference thing, so add in some salt, mix it all together, and give it a taste test, and then add more salt. Don't just throw a whole bunch in, because obviously if you oversalt it, you're kind of screwed. So just get some in there, taste test, add some more, taste test, that kind of thing. There we go. I'd say that's all set. So this can go in your fridge while you wait. But honestly, the same way with the dough, if you do have it in your fridge, make sure you take it out like an hour beforehand because we don't want it to be super cold when it goes onto the pizza. Now, the last ingredient we need for this Neapolitan style pizza is obviously our cheese. We are going to be using mozzarella. And if you are selecting mozzarella at your grocery store, guys, you are looking for the low moisture. The low moisture stuff is going to be hard as a rock, honestly, compared to the softer cheese that you're used to that comes in a big ball. You want the hard, low moisture cheese. Trust me, if you're using an Ooni oven, you don't want all the extra moisture because it's going to make it more difficult for it to quickly melt down. And it'll probably just burn on the exterior, but not really melt. So low moisture, trust me, find it. That's what you want. And then once you have it, some people like to do big strips, some people like to shred it. I have found that the best method or the best style of cheese or format is to just cube it. So I'm talking about this size. This is basically the size of a dice, so maybe it's diced. But we are looking for maybe a 1/2 inch cube, and I think that's the best size. For that minute to 2 minute that's in the oven, honestly, this lets it melt. The bigger pieces might not melt all the way. And obviously we want it to be nice and melty. We don't want big chunks of cheese. So we want it to be kind of uniform size as well. Now, to be honest, that's probably enough for one pizza. So I'm just going to double that and put this back in the fridge. Obviously, if you're cooking for a larger group, dice up more. But I think this will be enough for, like I said, one pizza. There we go. That's all the cheese that I need. And it is finally time, guys. Let's make this pizza. So what we're going to do is take our dough out. And we're just going to do the steering wheel method. I know that there are professional folks maybe watching that have made many a pizza and they're better at this than I am, but this works for me. So basically we're just thinning it out a bit. Turn it like a steering wheel. Hold it so it kind of falls a little bit. Keep doing that. You don't want to get too thin in any parts, so just keep monitoring it like so. All right, then what I'm going to do is drop it in this flour here. This is semolina flour. Some folks use rice flour. Some folks use other kinds of flour. I found that semolina works the best. I'll have a link down below, but it's a different type of flour. And this is what I use to launch my pizzas. And it helps it to not stick to the peel. And just makes everything work a little bit better. Semolina flour is on there. And I'm going to put it onto my pizza peel. Just make sure it moves, which it does. That's great. And we're going to get some of our sauce. Add that to there. Obviously try to not get any liquid onto your peel because that's going to make it stick. Just like that. See that? I spill. And of course I said that just as soon as I spilled it. In the words of Forrest Gump, I'm not a smart man, Jenny. But get our tomato sauce on there. You don't want it super thick. Honestly, these spots where it's kind of, you can see right through there, that's fine. We just want to have a decent amount of sauce on there. You don't want to go overboard because it'll be too saucy. This right here is probably about right. And I'm just going to take some of my cheese. And that's probably good. Now this is the part where, you know, if you wanted to make a non-traditional pizza, do whatever you want. Throw garlic on there, all that kind of stuff. We're going to make a chicken bacon ranch one later. I love garlic, but I'm just going to do traditional here. Usually I like to put big clumps on there. You can see that it's not sticking. Actually, it does a little bit right there. You can toss a little bit of your flour underneath. There we go. So it's moving. Let's get it out onto the uni and let's launch this pizza. Now, as you can tell, it's obviously very cold out here. But first thing I'm going to do before I launch the pizza is drop down the heat a little bit. And we're just going to launch it right in. Just like so. And just start watching it. I'll usually give it about 30 seconds before I do anything. But you can take your turning peel, or if you don't have one, your original peel. You want it to be a little bit firm on the bottom, which this isn't just yet. Give it a couple more seconds. All right, now I'm going to turn it. And I just give it a 90-degree turn. Wait maybe another 30 seconds, and then we'll turn it again. Yep, just like that. So obviously the hottest part is going to be the back left corner. That's where the two sides of the flames come together. And honestly, maybe a couple more seconds are back there, but this is basically good, guys. Yeah, a couple more seconds at the very back, but this is a done pizza to me. All right, I'm pulling this. I think that'll do. Let's get inside, let it rest, and then we'll take the chomp. This pizza had time to rest, guys, and now it's time to eat the old-fashioned chomp, which means we got to cut it up. Honestly, it wasn't a super hard process. You just got to plan out when you're making your dough, plan how much dough you need. get your ingredients together, do all that stuff. It's a timely process, but it's not super difficult. And then as far as the style of pizza, you know, we're just doing mozzarella, sauce, and a little bit of basil. I tossed some fresh basil on after I pulled it off the stone. But it's just very simple, and it is really, really fantastic. You can definitely screw it up. The cooking is a little more difficult than everything else. But honestly, just get your stone super, super hot, turn it down, toss it in there, and just keep monitoring and turning it, and you'll get there real quickly. If this is your first time using the Ooni, there is a learning curve, but it is not super steep, guys. By your third cook, you'll get this every single time. The hydration of your dough is super important, guys. It makes it so it's just elastic enough where you need it and it's not super sticky. A lot of people have issues sticking to your peel, and this will fix that. Using the right kind of flour and making sure your hydration level is perfect. Using that semolina, everything comes together and makes it a lot easier to launch your pizzas. But enough talking. I'm hungry. Let's cut this open. I still have more pizzas to make, but this is my traditional, classic Neapolitan style. Look at it from the side. You can see it's nice and fluffy in there. Everything looks great. It's not super soggy on the bottom. You can see the pizza we're working with here. Fantastic. What's most important, though, is give it the old-fashioned chomp, which we're going to do right now. You can't beat that, guys. Neapolitan style pizza is nice and fluffy. It's not overly crunchy. It's just exactly where you want it to be. That sauce has just the right amount of basically just tomato to it, right? It's just tomato, salt, and basil, but it just tastes fantastic. So few ingredients in this, but it really is one of the better pizzas. It's better than most stuff I'm going to get at just the local stores around here. No offense to them, but it is really, really good, guys. Now, I'm obviously not from Italy, and I'm not from New York, and I know both those folks have very, very opinionated feelings on pizza, same with Detroit and a couple other spots. But for me, this is better than anything I'm going to find at any store or any restaurant around here, and I can do it in my backyard with my Ooni. If you're just starting out in your backyard pizza making journey, try this recipe, guys. Honestly, it takes a lot of the guesswork out just to follow exactly what I did. Now, we've been using this recipe for a while, guys. I tried a bunch of different recipes. I looked online. There's a lot of different folks out there who do backyard pizzas. I've done Ooni's recipes. Honestly, this one is pretty tried and true. It seems to get me there where I need to go, especially for the dough. And then just adding in the sauce and stuff. It's a very simple amount of ingredients. And we've used it to kind of expand. We do different sauces now, different toppings. This is a great place to start. If this is your first time with your Ooni, try this recipe, guys. It should take out a lot of the guesswork as far as making your doughs and stuff. And if you're just trying for something new, absolutely give this one a try. The backyard pizza ovens are super fun. We're really enjoying ours. I have a lot more cooks in the future. I want to do different styles of pizza. But if you guys enjoyed this, absolutely let me know down below what your favorite type of pizza is, what your favorite topping is. But most importantly, whether or not you're making pizza or not, cook something fantastic, and I will see you at the next UFO barbecue. Bye-bye.